I'm asking you to do me a favor. Let this one slide. Don't hold it against me, because what I'm about to tell you is brutally honest. Here's the ugly truth TLC doesn't want you to know. Their so-called tell-all is anything but. It's nothing more than a recycled drama reel, thin spun to the point of being nearly transparent. If you thought it couldn't get any dumber, oh boy, you're in for a ride. Buckle up. We're going deep on this hot mess. Hey folks, what's good? Where we call out reality TV when it ceases to be real. I was prepared for TLC to make this 4-part one-on-one series last as long as possible, but I wasn't prepared for them to reach this low in the drama barrel. Last Sunday's episode? That was all the proof we needed. TLC's producers are officially out of ideas. Now, listen to this. They took almost 10 minutes to break down an incident in which Meri unintentionally elbowed Cody while she was moving some furniture. Yes, you read that correctly. A mild elbow touch escalated into a slow-motion, melodramatic breakdown as if it were the build-up to the climax of a courtroom thriller. Hook alert. If that wasn't bad. Oh boy, just wait. It was providing parody, more along the lines of an SNL sketch in full, particularly when Suki, sporting the most serious expression ever, turned to Robyn and inquired if the incident was acceptable. Good grief. Are we observing a relationship's demise or a comedy of slaps? And yet, wait, for the parade of nonsense continues. Then TLC treated us to another 10 minutes of solid comedy in the form of Cody poking fun at Meri being his favorite ex-wife. Dramatic music, please. A joke that barely merited a passing snicker was somehow blown into headline news. I am the favorite ex-wife, Meri snarked, lapping up the moment like she'd just taken home an Emmy. The show actually cut to her as if she'd heard a choir of angels in the heavens sing. I mean, come on, stick with me here, because it only gets stranger. Next was the curveball no one asked for. Suki turns to Christine and drops this bombshell. Would you ever go on a double date with Cody and Robyn? What? Who's coming up with these questions? Because the majority of people wouldn't be caught dead at brunch with their ex, let alone on date night with them and their new beau. That's not entertainment, it's just cringeworthy fan fiction. And if you thought that was worst case scenario, hold on. There's more where that came from. Because this isn't simply about sloppy TV, it's about the network acting as though they're presenting raw, emotional closure, while actually just shoving filler into primetime. If TLC believes these stale clips and coercive interactions are going to get us hooked, they'd better reconsider. So, what do you think? Is the tell-all really telling us anything? Or are we all just seeing a glorified furniture-moving montage in the guise of a season finale? But here's where things get really crazy. Suki casually dropped that weird double date question like it was a Tuesday afternoon idea. No fanfare, no explanation, just suddenly. She's obviously in full damage control mode. Whether it's fan heat or backstage pressure, you can see it. She's hanging on for dear life. Perhaps it's the paycheck. Perhaps it's the mortgage. But if she could outsource the entire charade and just receive a check, she totally would. And the icing on the cake, TLC's 4-part special, isn't a special devoted to closure. It's a special devoted to commercials. What we're really watching is a handful of awkward, uncomfortable conversations stretched into 4 episodes just to rake in those sweet, sweet commercial breaks. It's like reality TV went on autopilot and forgot to turn off the cameras. Let's get real. This whole event could have been one sit-down special, not some prolonged 4-week ordeal. But here's the thing. The serious questions, the ones that could have actually made this worthwhile to watch, weren't even discussed. Hang on, because what TLC didn't query could possibly blow your mind. Where is the inquiry into Cody's mysterious foray into the arts? Or Robyn's fixation on her doll collection? Christine's post-divorce glow-up? Meri's behind-the-scenes business grind? Or Janelle's breaking point when she finally said enough? And most important, what's happening with their adult children? How are they dealing with this very public disintegration of their family? Instead, we're being fed a close-up examination of a piece of furniture bump and a manufactured double date suggestion that no one, and I mean nobody, had requested. The worst part? Everyone's already gotten over it, except for the show. Christine is remarried and thriving. Meri and Janelle? Emotionally clocked out. But TLC is still out here flogging a breakup that happened years ago like it's headline news. And rather than a real reunion or confrontation, we're left with a collection of solo interviews that feel more like court depositions. Suki's playing the world's most awkward prosecutor, and everyone's dancing around the truth like it's a game of dodgeball. Ask yourself, has the show gotten stale? Or is TLC faking it? And here's something no one's really willing to say out loud. Cody Brown's definition of love? It's not so much about romance. It's about hurt. Every woman he's ever been with has borne the marks. And yet, still, no one's calling him out. Janelle? She knows Cody better than any of them ever did. That much became crystal clear after this reunion circus. For years, I believe Janelle and Cody had something closer to what he now claims to have with Robyn. Mutual respect, connection, even love. But here's the bombshell of truth. Janelle left not because she was sick of it, but because of the way Cody treated her children. She witnessed the favoritism. She witnessed how Robyn's children were put on pedestals and hers were kept in the background. And she said, no more. Stick with me. Because this gets close to home. Christine discusses primarily about the way Cody treated her, and that is understandable. But Janelle? She walked away because she saw her children get hurt, and she was not going to stand there and let it keep happening. She knew Cody loved her, but she also knew he would never make her family his priority. That's not love, that's control. Let's discuss the section no one wants to acknowledge. Meri needed the same sort of love Cody had for Janelle. She needed it, so did Christine. But here's the catch. Janelle possessed that love. That's why her narrative impacts differently. When Meri and Christine talk, there's a sense of desiring. But when Janelle talks, there's certainty, because she felt what Cody was capable of, then witnessed what he became. But here is where it gets ugly. Were Cody's iconic tears real? Remember that tearful scene during the poignant episode with Meri? The sobbing, the theatrics? It seemed like an act, just like his tears for Garrison. Crocodile tears to accompany the scripted heartache. Cody doesn't do authenticity so well unless it's sweet, sentimental, and ego-stroking. And that's why his patience with Janelle and Robyn is greater than with Meri or Christine. Robyn and Janelle have something Cody appreciates: soothing voices, patient tones, and a willingness to listen without fight. Christine and Meri, they're more dramatic, not hostile, just honest. And that, for Cody, is problematic. It's no surprise the women who pushed him the hardest were the ones he couldn't manage. I'm genuinely thrilled to see them walk away from this mess and start to thrive. But let's be real. Meri was never what Cody wanted. He was looking for a Michelle Duggar type, soft-spoken, endlessly supportive, never pushing back. But Meri? She doesn't play that game. She's honest, direct, and unwilling to stroke an inflated ego just to keep peace. Cody enjoyed her when she kept sweet. The minute she became real, he backed off. Let's dig a little deeper into why Meri was so misunderstood. She's usually depicted as the disciplinarian, the rule enforcer. And yes, she did set limits when others didn't. But it's not fair to pretend she was the sole adult in the household. Plenty of nice children emerged from that household, and thanks are due to all the parents. But Meri drew a line when nobody else would, and even her detractors must acknowledge this. Christine, however, was the queen of sweetness as a weapon. She could tell someone the harsh truth with a smile and a sweet tone, and her criticisms would go down more smoothly, even if they struck just as sharply. But the twist here is that Meri did not sugarcoat. She spoke the truth that other people were thinking. And in a family culture founded on image and decorum, that was dangerous. She spoke the truth. She shattered the illusion. And that put her in the position of being an oddity, especially with Cody, who lives on admiration and obedience. He resented being questioned, particularly by someone who had once owned his heart. The wives' emotional distinctions made all the difference. Janelle and Robyn, they remained calm, spoke calmly. That's what Cody was capable of. But Christine and Meri brought emotion to the encounter. Authentic, raw emotion. That's why when Janelle and Cody finally had their explosive fight, the one where he bolted from her apartment, she immediately interpreted it as the end. Because for them, that kind of fighting was foreign. And Cody dismissed it like it didn't mean anything. Told them they'd had fights like that in the past. Said Janelle had cussed him out on more than one occasion. Perhaps she had. But this fight? It was different. It was the breaking point. Janelle never backed down. She was never someone to be pushed around, and Cody was aware of that. That quiet financial, emotional strength meant she didn't require him. And that independence, it allowed her to say no. to walk away without blinking. It's a stark difference from Christine, who spent years centered on gaining Cody's love, even if it was at the expense of allowing him to walk all over her. But here's the reality no one wants to speak of aloud. Cody was finished with Meri way before the catfishing. That scandal just provided him with an exit ramp, and he took it, relieved. But somehow, he still managed to keep wearing the good guy mask. And those tears during Meri's move, those were likely genuine, but for reasons you'd never suspect. She was his first wife, the beginning of his fantasy. Seeing her go wasn't just about him, it was symbolic. It was the moment he realized the fantasy was over. He wasn't the ambitious young man diving into plural marriage with high hopes of status and religious reward anymore. He was now balding, deep in debt, middle-aged with estranged children, and a nation that's weary of seeing him implode. Perhaps the only genuine loss for Cody was the monetary one. Meri did her part, a considerable one. Her enterprises kept the coffers full. Her departure stung. Financially, not emotionally. And Robyn? Well, it's obvious she played the long game as well. Her devotion came with conditions. She noticed what Cody brought in and what she risked losing without him. And the double standard? Blindingly obvious. Cody never let Meri have a word about how she felt about Robyn. He crushed it every time. No conversation, no justice, just nothing. But ultimately, Meri was better for it. She said so herself. She didn't even like him anymore. The love? Gone forever. Cody demanded obedience. He demanded loyalty. He demanded a patriarchal fantasy. And Robyn played the role. But that dynamic was not working for the rest of them anymore. Plural marriage no longer worked for Janelle years ago. Initially, it worked for her. Christine took care of the house. She worked on her career. It was a working arrangement. But now, the children are old, Christine's remarried, and Cody gets visited by Janelle perhaps once every few months. She was never the traditional wife, never cared to be. She enjoyed her freedom, her work, her space. So that's why the thought of bowing down to Cody in this stage of life just doesn't compute with her anymore. And let's be real. Janelle and Cody had the greatest relationship for years, until Robyn entered the picture. Before the breakup, they gelled. Their relationship was working. It was logical. But after Christine left, Cody freaked out. He attempted to salvage what he could, his relationship with Janelle. But did you catch it? He never made that same attempt with Meri, or even Christine. That says it all about where his heart and his priorities were really at. Janelle always came at the world, and at Cody, with a dose of practicality the others lacked. She wasn't grown up in the AUB. She'd been married and divorced first, so she had a better understanding of how men work, and perhaps even a more resilient emotional filter. Her standards were real world. She earned her own income. And when Cody was younger and more susceptible, that independence kept him in line. But Janelle was never going to be a Robyn. She didn't fawn over his ego. She didn't hang on his words. And whereas the others had, she'd already broken up with him once. She wasn't into the drama or the over-the-top emotional speeches, what some referred to as circling the donkey arguments. She stated her point, and if Cody failed to catch on, she moved on. Cody's favoritism wasn't always so obvious. For years, Janelle's kids were treated better than Christine's. But when COVID hit, the cracks widened. The favoritism became public. The neglect that Janelle had quietly managed for years suddenly spilled over, and her kids felt it. They weren't used to Cody being absent, but Janelle was. It's tempting to wonder, were they ever actually polygamous by faith, or only attempting to legitimize their early tryst? Cody and Janelle both had other partners when they became acquainted. Perhaps plural marriage provided them with an opportunity to justify their bond as holy instead of shameful. And that relationship, it cut deep. Janelle and Cody shared chemistry and a rewarding sex life. In open or plural marriages, new loves tend to upset what used to work. Robyn's insertion disturbed the equilibrium. Christine and Meri never had a hope in hell of being the favorite. Cody's whole relationship with Meri began on a lie. He informed her that he was a virgin. This sort of dishonesty, particularly in a world where purity is prized, burns. But Cody's default is performance, not sincerity. He doesn't feel so much as perform emotions. Always checking who's observing, always attempting to top the reaction in the room. Janelle was more than a wife to him. She was his best friend. That makes his betrayal hurt more. To see him scold her about loyalty now is vacant, even callous. He loved her once. They were connected, their bond quieter than the others, but also deeper. Christine, meanwhile, has made her complaints loud and clear. She's criticized Cody's absence in her daughter's lives, especially around major surgeries. But Cody sees it differently. He said Christine blamed him for Truly's health scare, and he's not sure she's ever forgiven him. When she kicked him out, she didn't say it was a divorce right away. She shielded Isabel from the full fallout, trying to spare her daughter the guilt. Christine today makes it clear she's first. And Meri, she's given up pretending too. In that touching moment, her sarcastic tongue-lashing and blatant mocking of Cody revealed to the world she's not afraid to call him out. That moment informed us. Meri no longer regards him as a leader, just a foolish man playing games. Ultimately, Cody respected Janelle the most, not because she was loud or commanding, but because she let things go. She endured him. She gave him room. She had faith in his capacity to be a good father. And that meant something to her more than anything. Her own dad died when she was young, and she was familiar with what it was like to grow up without that presence. So then, when Cody was there for their children, particularly the boys, she appreciated it. She let a lot go because she felt the father figure was worth it. But when it became obvious he'd checked out, not just from her, but from their children, that's when she walked. That was the line. And all that respect talk, when Cody told Robyn she had respect, what he meant was she didn't question him. She remained silent. She played along. And prior to Robyn's arrival, Janelle's children had been the favorites. But after they got to Flagstaff and her children began to express their pain, Janelle came to realize the shift. Cody even confessed to it. He was nearer to his sons due to wrestling. But even that wasn't sufficient to make him stay when it really mattered. Cody said that there was something with Janelle in their Vegas days, but Janelle did not. Whatever it wasn't a love rekindling. If anything, Flagstaff tore away any delusions. It brought the cracks out. Favoritism, emotional absences, the widening gulf in the family. Janelle's children noticed. They sensed the difference, and they didn't hesitate to complain. Their father was AWOL, and not just physically. Janelle was always more human. She did not coddle Cody. She did not require him to affirm her. She knew about money, worked, and kept herself up. There was no acting, no pleading with him for his love like Christine once did. And because she was not involved in trying to please him, she could be indifferent with Cody. That is power in itself. Christine let Cody walk all over her, hanging on hope that if she loved hard enough, he'd return. Janelle lasted longer with it, but not because she was weak. She was thinking things through, strategizing. She lingered for the grand scheme of things, the kids, the stability, the routine. But when Christine finally got out, and Cody's abandonment of their children could no longer be denied, Janelle hit her breaking point too. Robyn, however, homed in on the women who were insecure. Christine and Meri, both fragile themselves, were easy prey. Robyn psychologically undercut them, emotionally isolating them with time, but she never did that to Janelle, because Janelle knew she was already loved. She didn't require Robyn's validation, and that made her invincible. So Robyn turned her tactics more personal. She attacked Janelle's appearance, her weight, even her children. Always indirect, always underhanded. It wasn't about building relationships. It was about consolidating power through Cody. And finally, there are the individuals who believe the world spins around them. You know the kind, constantly late, never confirms arrangements, always keeping everyone in a holding pattern. Things never start on schedule because everyone's waiting for their big arrival. It's not frustrating. It's insulting. Take any significant family event. Whether it's an engagement, wedding, or a milestone occasion, they'll have everyone wondering until the very last minute. 1 minute they're coming, the next they're not. Then, if they do arrive, 2 hours late, and after the most significant moments have already occurred. It's madness, and it's painful. I missed it, someone laments. They already announced his name. Mom missed it, someone else chimes in. The disappointment ripples, subdued and bitter. It's not bad time management, it's emotional manipulation. And families go out of their way, bending over backward to accommodate it, begging them to come, only to be ghosted or shelved at the last minute. The emotional drain of orbiting around someone else's moods is draining. And the worst part? This has become the beat of their family. One person's inconsistency ruling everybody else's peace. This type of behavior is not careless, it's calculated. A power move, plain and simple. The incessant, I'll meet you there habit. Translation, I'll show up when I want to, if I want to. And let's call a spade a spade. This has nothing to do with time management. There was even one about a person coming close to missing the birth of their kid, not due to traffic or a crisis, but because they had a call of nature. And then, when they actually arrived, they dismissed it as no one's business. Like almost missing one of life's biggest milestones was just another ordinary Tuesday. That door slammed shut on them, and it hasn't been opened since. Individuals justify this type of behavior with statements such as, if only they knew, that's just how they are, or they mean well. But these things kept happening over and over again. Gradually, it became apparent. It's passive-aggressive control. These people derive a satisfaction of a perverted sort by keeping others waiting, commandeering attention, and making chaos with their indifference. And it's seldom confined to only one individual. Sometimes it cuts through whole families or groups of friends. Habitual latecomers who use start times as a mere suggestion. The ones who disappear when there is work to do, reappear out of nowhere for the enjoyment, or forget the vital details, leaving others in their dust. Even when they've got a good reason, such as a newborn at home, their habit doesn't shift. The lateness, the forgetfulness, the last-minute theatrics, it just continues, particularly when there's a camera involved or there are witnesses. They're like they feed off the chaos. Being the wild card keeps them in the center of attention. But here's the twist. They always end up punctual for whatever they truly care about. They recall when it suits them. They're prepared when it's their moment in the spotlight. But when it is someone else's shining moment, suddenly they're disappeared in a whirlwind of misplaced bags or non-existent emergencies. Yes, some do grow out of it. Life has a tendency to learn people time management, particularly when there are real consequences. But others, they never learn. Or perhaps they simply refuse to. Whether due to lack of ability or pure indifference, the outcome is the same. Disrespect, frustration, and burnout. Even when the motive isn't bad, the impact always is. It makes others adjust, shift, and accommodate. It erodes trust over time. It makes people feel insignificant, as if their time, their presence, doesn't count. Which is why it's important to make that distinction between someone who occasionally shows up late and someone whose lateness is an act of manipulation. One is normal, the other is toxic, and relationships dissolve under that pressure. Talking of frustration, can we discuss reality stars being compensated to do nothing? On television, take Robyn at the reunion. The number of times she shrugged was unbelievable. Every response was a shrug of the shoulder and, I don't know, or the ever-illuminating, I don't care. And I'm sitting here thinking, you're literally being paid to lead a life so interesting that millions cease their own to watch yours. And we only get apathy in return? I don't need this, she tells us. I'm doing this for Mariah and curiosity. Curiosity? That's all? She continues. I don't care that I bought the air. I don't care. I don't care. Fine. So why should we care? If the lead character has checked out emotionally, what are we listening for then? By the third shrug, it wasn't disappointing. It was insulting. If you're not even going to invest in your own tale, don't ask the audience to. They should have given Robyn's airtime to literally anybody else. Someone who could contribute something to the conversation. Anger, humor, frustration, a heartbeat, anything. Anything but the vacant stares and shoulder shrugs we got instead. And when she finally opened her mouth, it was only to tell us not to hold anything against her. Girl, we already let it go. You just weren't there when we did. Even Cody gave up, grumbling, let's not discuss these relationships anymore. Seriously? That is the show. You are on for a series about your marriages, your wives, and now you want to be done with the storyline? If we don't discuss the relationships anymore, then congratulations. You don't have a show? That is it. Game over. Watching it as a viewer, it was a slap in the face. If you're not going to respond to questions, then don't get paid. That's it. There has to be an addendum. No answers, no check. Not requesting a TED Talk, just a response, a genuine one. Even an antagonist brings interest. But I don't know, repeated over and over, it's insulting. Robyn obviously received a PR memo. Say nothing, don't be controversial. Rather than carefully talking, she just stopped. Now she has nothing to say. She's turned herself into the show's sacred cow. All about being sacred, never understanding the words were never intended as praise. If she'd like to continue dressing up her Victorian dollhouse, fine. But she'd better start speaking, or get off. Her personality used to be hidden under how she treated others. You remember her swatting that toddler like a mosquito. Now, there's just an eerie silence, a house full of unopened Amazon boxes and awkward stillness. Maybe her daughter's whispering makeup tutorials to herself in the background. Who knows? We're left analyzing every blink and sigh like it's Morse code because that's all she gives. Her mask is slipping, and what lies beneath isn't vulnerability, it's disdain. No tears, no poor me, not even a manufactured breakdown, just a bored detachment. And if she's really done, fantastic. Be done. Exit the show. If this is the end of Sister Wives, okay. But if there's a spin-off in the making, give it to the originals. Christine, Janelle, even Meri, they have stories, genuine ones, with grit, pain, laughter, and growth. Leave Robyn and Cody to float off into their lace curtain fantasy where nothing ever happens and nobody talks. And Robyn, if all we're getting from you are shrugs, side eyes, and ring flexes like passive-aggressive punctuation, your whole segment could have been 5 minutes. We wouldn't have noticed anything. Meanwhile, the women who do have something to say, those are the ones who get trimmed, shortchanged. TLC should have spoken to Robyn like an adult and said it straight. This is your job. Do it or don't. But don't waste our time either. You're contractually bound to participate, so why the sudden silence after all these years of melodrama? Who's speaking the truth, you or everyone else? Because viewers are not idiots. We recall the tears, the gaslighting, the video that spoke the truth. Now, this total 180 just verifies what we've suspected all along. It was all staged. Now that the story's wrapped and the PR machines shifted gears, we're left with a bored, smug shell who clearly resents having to pretend. If this is what the show's become, shrugs, sacred cow nonsense, and smug silence, maybe it's time to end it. Or at least hand the reins over to those still willing to actually speak. What are your thoughts? Leave them down below in the comments. And don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe if you want more real talk. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, and sending lots of love to you all.